Oh boy, this show. You know, it's shows like this that make me have a real trust issue about being lied to. Raising Dion is like going in for a hug from what you think will be a new best friend, only to get a slap in the face. I guess this is what I get for letting myself love again. Raising Dion is a sci-fi superhero story mixed with a parental drama. It premiered on October 4th, 2019 as a Netflix original based on the comic of the same name by Dennis Liu. Raising Dion stars Alisha Wainwright, Josiah Young, and Jason Ritter. The show follows a widowed single mother as she navigates the challenges of raising her young son, Dion, as he begins to wield incredible and dangerous superpowers. In a unique situation, she gets aid from Dion's godfather, Pat, who was a close friend of her late husband. However, all three of them may be in danger from a shadowy corporation named Biona and from a mysterious figure lurking inside a series of violent lightning storms. Raising Dion runs 9 episodes, 7 of which are fun and enjoyable. That is until the season falls apart around the last few episodes. However, before I get ahead of myself, let's break the series down. Starting with... This is a cast full of really talented people. The backbone of the show is Alisha Wainwright as Nicole. Wainwright does a great job of playing the dual roles of grieving widow and struggling single mother. Nicole is smart, funny, and an exhausted woman, and watching her meet the challenges of her son's surprise superpowers puts you firmly in her corner. I'm going to enjoy seeing more of her work in the future. She has an amazing lead performance. Her chemistry is great. And the scene where she threatens to trash a nice office is a real standout in the series. Now, I want to preface what I'm about to say with a bit of a disclaimer. It is incredibly difficult to find good child actors, and Josiah Young, by all accounts, is pretty good. Young is 8, which is Dion's exact age at the end of the first season, which is kind of unusual because you usually see older actors playing younger characters. These people are all supposed to be in high school. And I much prefer having an actual child playing a child rather than, an adult with a medical condition.
He told me all that has since happened. He said, Joseph has taken his things and fled this happy place.
Now that we've got that out of the way, Dion himself can be rough to watch at times. Mostly at the beginning of the season with some very stilted line delivery.
These kids are different. They ride skateboards, Chris has a YouTube channel, and everyone goes on and likes it, and they're all bigger than me.
But he's never so bad to render his scenes unwatchable. He improves a huge amount over the course of the show, and by the end of the season, you are cheering Dion on with hoarse voices. Now, scenes between him and Nicole are natural, and you feel sympathy for Dion during the harder conversations the two have. Crucially, Dion never feels like a burden. He never falls into that trope of the annoying kid that you always have to cart around. I'm looking at you, Walking Dead. The other main character in the show is Pat, played by Jason Ritter. Ritter does a terrific job portraying Pat as a man who has genuine fun spending time around Dion and is very likable and sympathetic. Throughout the season, Pat develops a strong bond with both Dion and Nicole. And while he uses his knowledge of comic books and superhero lore to aid Dion on his journey, he often forgets that the real world has harsher consequences. He can also be overly pushy when he feels he can help a situation, but backs down when told no, at least at first. The character of Pat is far from revolutionary, being a 30-something bearded comic book reader with an excessive collection of geek icons and a slight man-childish view on the world.
What?
But Ritter makes you care for Pat. He is a person to root for, and I enjoyed seeing him develop over the course of the series into a fatherly figure who is seemingly willing to take on huge personal risks to help Dion and Nicole. At a later point in the series, Pat has a shift in his emotional state, and Ritter does a fantastic job showing the transformation. It is poorly implemented from a writing standpoint, but Ritter does a good job selling it, only failing to be really menacing when he needs to be menacing. Oh, Dipper, you're just too cute.
Well, who wants a lammy, lammy, lammy? I do.
Rounding out the cast is a few really great supporting roles, some of them criminally underused. I'm looking at you, Tessa. Nicole's sister Kat also falls into the realm of interesting but almost entirely ignored, along with this guy and her. And let me pause for a quick second to say, check out all these super talented people of color in this cast. Like, even forget about the acting for a second. Check out some of this high-class dancing. I'm hard-pressed to find a side actor that wasn't super talented, even if the character wasn't really likable. At least they felt real. I mean, I've worked with this guy. Since Raising Dion is based on a single 24-page comic by Dennis Liu, there is a lot to expand on. This is mostly successful in terms of fleshing out characters and plot details. This series does evoke the writing of some of the better short-run comic book series I've read. However, the dialogue can be very clunky and expositional at times.
All right, babe, why are you making a giant bird cage?
It's a Faraday cage, smartass, and when you arrange metal in a particular order...
You can reroute the electrical current. I know. 1 year physics.
This is why I married you. I'm sure your father is proud.
There are moments when the writing seems to be willing to go beyond the cliches of superhero fiction and interpersonal drama, but it always seems to just fall short. At one point in the series, I said to my girlfriend that I hoped that this clearly telegraphed plot point wasn't going to happen because it was kind of becoming too obvious, and she replied that this show is good, but maybe not that good. And I feel like that's a great pull quote for this series. Superhero fiction is filled with dead parents, evil corporations, and dark origins. Raising Dion is no exception to that. The show is at its best when exploring the interpersonal lives of the people around Dion, and Dion and Nicole's attempts to understand and train his powers. The early episodes are strongest because they center almost exclusively around this. It plays sort of like a live-action Life is Strange 2, only without making me want to spend 12 days in bed from sadness.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, step away, now!
Calm down, officer!
Shut up! On the ground, now!
This is a nightmare.
This shit is why my soul is only warmed by episodes of Next Gen on repeat. Oh, Chief O'Brien, beam away the pain. Now, since the show has an 8-year-old as its central character, it is inevitable that we would get a bunch of scenes with Dion and his peers. Hey, kid-centered shows are big money for Netflix these days. Yes, Netflix. I know Stranger Things was a big hit for you. So, well, are these kids annoyingly written? Well, no, not really, actually. While Dion has some stumbles when it comes to his dialogue, Esperanza, Dion's self-imposed best friend, is the standout. She has this infectious charm and a persistence that feels genuine. A large part of that is because of the performance by Sammy Haney. There's a sensitivity around the handling of Esperanza's disability. It never comes across as pandering or as disingenuous. Overall, the writing is like 80% there. I feel like there was a second draft, but there probably should have been a third and a second opinion. Some episodes feel more like a relevant filler than an important narrative bit. Some foreshadowing seems like coincidence than actual intentional writing. And some really great side characters, seriously, I love her so much, are either ignored unless they're useful in that moment, or they are woefully underutilized. But in spite of these flaws, I watched the whole series over a course of a week. The side characters that are well utilized feel like well-rounded, important members of the story. Like Charlotte, who started off as a gruff, closed-off outsider type. and is developed into someone with an actual arc in the story of being a mentor and nice to children. Still, there is one glaring, poorly written episode that nearly kills the entire series. It's so bad and completely backtracks on the work done that it feels disconnected from the series as a whole. Without getting into spoilers, I just want to say that the episode is so bad that it will test your resolve to finish the series. They're okay. Right, no, I'm supposed to do an in-depth review of this show. Dion has a dazzling array of superpowers, which include things like teleportation, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, even healing. And some of these powers are excellently rendered on screen. Others are not so well rendered. Rarely is the CGI ever so bad that it's outright distracting from the plot, but it is sometimes just a little under what it needs to be to deliver a satisfying emotional payoff. Like this moment. It's just a little goofy. The acting elevates the moment a little bit, but yeah, kind of goofy. However, in later episodes, this problem disappears almost entirely. Perhaps the team was given more of a budget or more time to work on the effects. I have to give a massive shout out to the Crooked Man, however, which is visually very intimidating when it shows up. But in the interest of being fair and balanced, I also have to point out this robot Caribou that they show a whole bunch and who looks terrible every time. You guys really needed to get your money out of that prop, huh?
Robot noise. Me. I am a robot.
At this point, we are getting into major spoilers, not just the minor ones we've been discussing so far. If you have any interest in watching Raising Dion, I highly suggest you skip to this time code in the video. Now buckle in. I have takes and some of them are hot. Now let's take a look at the season overall, shall we? Issue 101, How Do You Raise a Superhero? The first episode has a lot of exposition, so we have to go over it, but the other episode summaries will be brief, I promise. Now, it's been 1 year since Nicole lost her husband, played by Michael B. Jordan, and she's struggling to support her 8-year-old son, Dion. Dion, however, is having no problem supporting his toys in midair with his mind. Shut up, segues are hard. Yes, little Dion has
Phenomenal cosmic power!
Most of the pilot is dedicated to setting up the 4 basic plot threads that we'll have for the rest of the season. Plot thread number 1. Creed Jr. drowned in a storm trying to save a mysterious woman he may or may not have known before his death. He did. 2. His shady LexCorp-like employer named Biona may or may not be involved. They are. Nicole is on the hunt for answers. Number 3. Being a single parent is hard. Between trying to get babysitters, holding down jobs, and trying to instill the proper moral lessons in a child that can levitate everything in the room. Come on, Nicole, don't fuck this up. Number 4. Pat, Dion's godfather and Killmonger's best friend forever, is growing closer to Dion. He acts as a friend and mentor while helping Nicole look into his employer, Biona. Finding out about her son's powers, Nicole takes Dion to her late husband's cabin. There she tries to teach him to control his new abilities. She also finds a phone number and Mark's jacket belonging to Charlotte Tuck, who is the woman that he died saving from the lake. That night, a freak lightning storm brings a bunch of ghosts, one of which is none other than Johnny Storm. Now I'm going to try to keep my summary short from here on out till we get to the last few episodes. Dion's powers grow as Nicole is forced to leave the cabin and head back to the city. Shenanigans ensue. Nicole asks Pat to look into the mysterious Charlotte Tuck after getting no answer from the phone number. He stops by their apartment just in time to see Dion nightcrawler away from a speeding van. Episode 103, Watchman. Pat's lifetime of comic book knowledge finally comes in handy as he helps Dion understand the rules of being a superhero, including how to slam that brick on some fools. Nicole meets the mysterious Charlotte Tuck, who, shock, is superpowered and she says Mark was too. She sends Nicole a video of the thing that killed Mark. Episode 104. Welcome to Bayona. Hope you survived the experience. Pat takes Dion to Bayona for the day. CEO Suzanne Wu has been acting shady as fuck all season, but she's nice to Dion. Pat and Dion sneak into a secret lab and see a bunch of animals, and that Bayona is surveilling select people from around the world. Dion steals a mutated hermit crab. His name is Pinchy, and I love him. Nicole investigates the Lightning Man, who she learns has been spotted all over the world, causing people to disappear. This episode is bookended by a farmer dad and his son. Farmer dad has the power to grow plants, like through superpowers, not just by being a farmer, and is killed by the Lightning Man in front of his kid at the end. Episode 105, Days of Mark's Futures Past. We learn all about Mark, how he got his superpowers and then passed them off to his son. You see, Mark, Charlotte, and a bunch of people got irradiated by a strange cosmic storm. Pat missed out because he stayed inside. The cosmic radiation altered their bodies, creating the world's greatest superhero family, known forever as the Fantastic Wrong franchise. Anyway, Mark marries Nicole, gets her pregnant, raises Dion for a bit, and then is killed by the Lightning Man. In the present, Nicole has work problems and Dion has friend problems. Ghost Dad pays another visit and Dion sees the Lightning Man for the first time. Episode 106, Super Friends. Charlotte is back and agrees to train Dion like a chain-smoking Professor X. Pat is given the promotion he has been begging for and learns that the cosmic storm that gave Mark and the others their superpowers has also been causing Iceland to decay. Since Dion healed a fox in the lab in the earlier episode, Pat thinks that Dion can help. Pat and Nicole have a great night out and get drunk together, but then Pat kisses her. So it begins. Also, Bayona is spying on Dion and Charlotte. Episode 107. Why so vomity? Charlotte pays a visit to the farmer's son. He's very creepy and clearly going to be evil next season. Pat is having migraines. Dion tries to cure it, causing Dion to get real sick and end up in the hospital under the care of Nicole's doctor sister, who finally gets some character development. She's a lesbian and in a relationship with another doctor, but don't worry, they break up before the season ends. Nicole discovers Mark's hidden research and uses it to save Dion. All seems fine until shock, Bayona Dion nabs our boy! Episode 108. You won't like him when he's angry. Oh, this is... Character assassination. Okay, so before we go there, things start good enough. Nicole smashes her way into Bayona and threatens to... wreck up the place! Until she gets her son back. Suzanne agrees and returns Dion to her, so I guess the kidnapping was kind of for nothing? Charlotte keeps an eye on Dion at his school and trips a racist. Pat has a complete meltdown about Nicole not wanting to be in a relationship with him. After clearly going psycho, Pat declares himself Dion's father and accuses Nicole of not returning his niceness with sex. Pat, who has shown no indication of being like this so far. Nicole pushes him away and leaves. Pat tries to pick up Dion from their home, runs into Charlotte, and...
I should have killed you in New Orleans.
Yep. Pat is the Lightning Man and has been killing the others who gained powers that night. Episode 109, Storm Killer. So it's time to pull a U-turn and backtrack on Pat's character. Turns out he did go outside during the cosmic storm and got it way worse than the others. This turned him into the giant Lightning Man that is forced to consume other superpowered people to stave off the same decay infecting Iceland. Pat stalks Dion and Nicole across the state. First to Mark's cabin, where he reveals himself to Nicole and attacks her. Then to Dion's school science fair, where he tries to convince Dion to use his superpowers to heal Pat's decay, knowing this will kill Dion. Nicole rushes to save him. She arrives just in time, backed up by Iona, to have a final confrontation with Pat. Nicole stabs Pat with a lightning rod, and Dion explodes him with Dion power, TM. Pat turns into a small thundercloud and floats away. Okay, sure. Dion and Nicole have a tearful short reunion with Mark. It's me. I am the one who is tearful. The season ends with Iona keeping Nicole and Dion under surveillance, and the Lightning Man powers are transferred to that creepy kid from 3 episodes ago. Ready for those scolding hot takes I mentioned? Okay, here it is. I hated this twist. Actually, my girlfriend and I both hated this twist. Actually, my girlfriend, my dog, and I all hated this twist. Because when it happened, the 2 humans in the room screamed in anger, and our dog was like, "Ah!" So let's break down what's required for a good twist. Number 1, it has to be properly foreshadowed. 2, it has to make sense. And 3, it has to be consistent with the characters. That's it. That's all you need. Raising Dion provides none of these. Pat is not the lovable, caring, intelligent, funny, supportive godfather to Dion. No, he's a psychopathic monster who is simultaneously able to fool everyone around him, yet does a completely out-of-character third act twist in the last 2 episodes of the season. How could you have known that he was such an unforgivable monster? The answer is you couldn't. You couldn't have known. The show lied to you. I'm reminded of Halle Berry's character in the film Perfect Stranger, who fakes being scared for no one's benefit but the audience, even though the third act twist is that they were the killer all along. Sorry, spoilers for Perfect Stranger, but it's 13 years old and I feel like the show has a fundamental problem, which is how much to reveal without making the twist obvious. Too much, and we'll know that Pat wants to murder his godson by the 3rd episode. Too little, and we as the audience call bullshit. They went with way too little. It's very lightly hinted that Pat both has problems with women and with work because he is too pushy. This is only really shown before the twist when he's bugging his boss for a promotion. She seems only to turn him down because she has some kind of weird bias against engineers versus scientists, which makes his reaction understandable and crucially at an appropriate level. Pat also asks Nicole several times to provide him with details about the mystery, such as Charlotte's phone number or Mark's data. Retroactively, this can be seen as him trying to cover up his own murders and find more people to kill, but it's also heavily consistent with the concern he shows for his dead friend's son. When Nicole says no, he accepts her rejection and continues providing his support, which is not how nice guy TMs operate. Another problem I have with the twist is that it robs the show of an element that made it feel unique. That of a platonic close friendship between a man and a woman that didn't devolve into a will they, won't they situation. This kind of relationship is one that the media seems to have very hard time portraying. Nicole and Pat had a terrific dynamic that unfortunately is rarely seen in television or film, but I guess the idea of 2 adults who are friends, neither wants to have sex with the other, is too much science fiction for a show about an 8-year-old who shoots people with purple lightning from his fingers. The show stumbles very close to being great. But thanks to an 11th hour failure in the writing, Raising Dion manages to land on its face. While the acting is solid and even the side characters have personality, a lot of the potential is ignored in favor of meandering slice of life episodes that have little bearing on the overall plot. The effects hold up for the most part, And the score and the soundtrack do an effective job of highlighting the tone. Raising Dion has been renewed for a second season, and I'm hopeful, provided the show can move on to more interesting ideas and break away from the tired superhero tropes that they had no reason to fall into during season 1. There are several unresolved plot lines that will most likely be the main focus of the second season. These have promise, but I feel like I can't trust this show anymore, and that may be a problem. O'Brien can only do so much after all. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching my review of Raising Dion. Thank you so much for Tamara for helping write it, and to all our viewers. I'm really happy just to share this with everybody, and I really hope that you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please like, and if you haven't hit subscribe, you can also hit the bell for notifications of our new videos. We have new videos coming up all the time with Let's Plays, with trailer reactions, with reviews. I've got some new episodes in several series coming up, so keep an eye out for those. It's always a lot of fun, and I just love sharing stuff like this with you all. Remember, stay safe and be who you are.
Robot noise. Robot noise. Beep, meep, meep, meep. 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 I am a robot.
Okay, that's enough doing weird robot noises. Tamara will love that.